Ladies and gentlemen, thank you for coming. My name is Colonel Marty O'Donnell. I'm the Public Affairs Director for U.S. Army North. Had the pleasure of meeting some of you a few weeks ago at Camp Atterbury's Media Day. Thank you for coming here today. I'm going to go through the list of speakers. For today, you'll be hearing from 7 speakers. I'll be coming back to the podium to in between each speaker to reintroduce them, but I'll go through the list right now. So the first speaker you'll hear from is Mr. Aaron Batt. He is the Department of Homeland Security Lead Federal Coordinator for Camp Atterbury and the Operation Allies Welcome mission here. Next, you'll hear from Colonel Mike Grundman, who is the Installation Commander here at Camp Atterbury. Third, you'll hear from Mr. Cole Varga, who is the Executive Director of Exodus, one of the resettlement agencies here in the state of Indiana. Fourth, you'll hear from Aheed Sharifi. She is an Afghan guest here and will soon resettle here in the state of Indiana. Fifth, you'll hear from Ambassador Christine Elder, the State Department lead for the Operation Allies Welcome mission here. Sixth, you'll hear from Mr. Fred Payne, who is the State of Indiana Commissioner for Workforce Development. And last, but certainly not least, you will hear from the Governor of Indiana, Eric Holcomb. His time is limited here. He's got a tight timeline. He will remain at the podium. We'll try to get to maybe 1, maybe 2 questions at that time. He will then move on, and then I'll come back to the podium and facilitate questions and answers with all the others. Any questions about that? Okay. Before I turn it over to Mr. Batt, since it is the holiday season, I just want to offer my thanks. Thanksgiving is coming up this week. Thank you to the state of Indiana, to all the partners here for obviously coming together for Operation Allies Welcome. You'll hear about the passion, I think, from all the speakers here today, and I'm really just so thankful that everyone is here and for the support of the state. With that, Mr. Aaron Batt.
All right, well, thank you. I appreciate it. Thank you, Governor, for coming out here, and of course, our distinguished guests. As Colonel O'Donnell mentioned, my name is Aaron Batt. I am the Department of Homeland Security Lead Federal Coordinator here at Camp Atterbury for Operation Allies Welcome. Today, I want to spend a few minutes talking a little bit about what has transpired since maybe some of you were out here about a month and a half ago for a media day. Let you know where we are with Operation Allies Welcome from a national perspective, and then of course what's specific here in Indiana. So first I want to let you know that we have welcomed in about 82,000 Afghan evacuees, some of those which included U.S. citizens, also lawful permanent residents, into the United States. So 82,000 as of today. Here at Camp Atterbury, we have welcomed in about 7,200 Afghan evacuees since the beginning, which started on 1 September. I think as some of you might have already heard, we have began welcoming in on 1 September. And by 7 September, we had doubled the city's population size. At the national level, over 30,000 Afghan evacuees have resettled into communities. About 23,000 of those were through resettlement agencies. And you'll hear a little bit about the resettlement agencies and what that means. And then, of course, the 7,000 others had resettled in with their family through the community and the support systems that they already had here in place. Wanted to take a few minutes to just give an update on our resettlement agencies here. There are 9 resettlement agencies across the United States. They have about 200 affiliates associated with those resettlement agencies. Want to recognize the 5 resettlement affiliates that we have here in Indiana. That includes Exodus, Catholic Charities of Fort Wayne and South Bend, Catholic Charities Indianapolis, Welcome Network, and most recently, the Bernese American Community Institute. Today, we're also going to talk about the Circle Sponsor Program. This is a new initiative that supplements what our resettlement agencies are doing with resettling, and it gives Hoosiers an opportunity to also sponsor Afghan evacuees and families. One of the things that I'm probably most proud of, and unique specifically to here at Camp Atterbury, is our ability to stand up 4 different centers. Some of those have been done at other locations, but one specific to Indiana here, and that I think is unique, is the Work Readiness Center. And so I want to thank the Governor and Commissioner Payne for standing that up. Really, it sets the stage for our Afghan evacuees. When they get into their communities, they'll already be able to hit the ground running with employment. And so he'll speak a little bit more today. And then lastly, I just want to continue to thank the Hoosiers for their generosity, hospitality. The number of donated goods and hours is amazing. This week, we took delivery of 26 pallets from Toys for Tots. That included 13,000 pounds of toys and over 15,000 different toys. And so we're working, of course, to distribute those here at Camp Atterbury, but we're also working to see how we can distribute those to the resettlement agencies and our guests who have already departed. And so with that, I'll look forward to your questions here in a few minutes. Thank you, sir.
Next, we'll hear from Colonel Mike Grundman, Installation Commander here at Camp Atterbury.
Thank you, Marty. Hi, my name is Colonel Mike Grundman, the Installation Commander. I'm a full-time National Guardsman and representing the Department of Defense here today. Camp Atterbury was notified as being one of the 8 safe havens in mid-August. Since that time, we have surged nearly 1,300 Department of Defense personnel from the Indian National Guard, the Oregon National Guard, the regular Army, the Navy, and the Coast Guard here to help support our guests. It has been a fantastic team effort, along with our interagency partners and our non-government organizations, to help transition our Afghan guests from a pretty chaotic situation to one where they have some hope for the future. I continue to be exceptionally proud of the support that the installation staff and the state has provided to this operation. For nearly 3 months now, we've provided the basic logistical support, housing, food services, security for our Afghan guests. And while that's important, it's also important to note that the DOD and the National Guard is but a small cog in this wheel and not the lead agency. We remain focused on fostering a positive culture and environment for our guests and continue to work to resettle them as quickly as possible. To date, of the nearly approximately 7,200 Afghans who transitioned through here, 4,100 still remain, and we're looking to continue to double down our efforts and find them a good home in the United States. I'm especially grateful to the whole of community approach to this whole of government effort. Indiana, its communities, its individuals, its organizations, and the state government has been absolutely terrific to maintaining a even flow of donated gifts, goods, services, volunteers, linguists, dentists, phrase books for American soldiers. It has been a truly incredible outpouring from communities and organizations alike, and I cannot stress that enough. Many of the donations that we received came through a system that Governor Holcomb set up through the National Guard armories throughout the state. The Department of Corrections has helped to sort those goods. The Department of Transportation has helped to deliver them here. And to date, Camp Atterbury has distributed almost 75% of the national donated items of the 8 safe havens nationwide. Operations Allies Welcome has been a great opportunity for those of us who served in Afghanistan to give back and make this transition to new American citizens easier and as seamless as possible. I look forward to your questions at the end of the presentation. Thank you.
Next, we'll hear from Mr. Cole Varga, Executive Director of Exodus.
Well, thank you very much, everyone. It's an honor to be here and see all the amazing work that's happening at Camp Atterbury and all the preparation to get our new Afghan neighbors ready for permanent resettlement, which is what I've been asked to share a little bit of information about, how resettlement works in the time frame after people leave these 8 bases. I'll speak on behalf of Exodus, but largely true for many of the other partners that do this resettlement work across the 200 or so agencies and 49 states that resettle. We can think about resettlement in basically 4 phases, the first being the pre-arrival phase, where we're doing a lot of the preparatory work for families that will be coming to us. So that means setting up housing that's affordable and sustainable for new families, stocking those apartments or rental homes with furniture and food donated from generous individuals across the community, getting documents and things prepped and ready and applications for the Division of Family Resources all set and ready to go for the new families when they come. The second phase is a 90-day period starting from the moment arrivals hit the airport and extending for those 90 days through a partnership with the U.S. State Department's Bureau of Population, Refugee, and Migration. So these 90 days is really where the action happens. So that's getting them from the airport, introducing them and walking them through their new apartment, doing a safety orientation. What's a smoke detector? What's this garbage disposal thing? Kind of getting them prepared and ready to understand where they're going to live and live safely. And then starts sort of an onslaught of the many, many appointments that need to happen to make sure that our new neighbors are taken care of and connected to resources. So that means a health screening with the local health departments, enrollment in the children's local school and a tour of the school so the parents know where they're going all day, getting people through Social Security, getting people through family resources with the state of Indiana, and then starting English classes. We offer those 4 days a week at Exodus. Many other agencies offer similar structured English classes, right now on Zoom just to be safe. We're preparing people for how to budget finances in the U.S., how to prepare themselves for employment, get ready for the job that will come that will help lead them to self-sufficiency, which in fact is the third phase of resettlement. So getting people the knowledge and tools to not only get a job, but to keep it. So that can mean helping them set up with childcare, unlocking that battle, helping people get to work on transportation, whether that be through public transportations. For us in Indianapolis, that's a great partnership with Indigo, or through carpooling with other members that are already in the community that have been here a bit longer and have saved up to buy a car. So unlocking all of those challenging barriers to make sure people can get a job, a good paying job that will meet their expenses and hold on to that job for the family. And then fourth phase is sort of the longer term needs that can happen. And not everyone needs these services. Some may come, they'll have a job. Some of our guests here at Atterbury speak quite a bit of English and may be very successful and have college degrees and other work histories. And some may not, and that's okay. And that's why we'll stick around and help them with what they need, whether that's ongoing employment support, whether that's helping single parents figure out childcare, whether that's mental health needs. We have free mental health services we offer through our office, for example. We have women's and youth program services that we offer for just specific needs that women may need or that youth may need coming into a new city, maybe not speaking English and being thrown into school. They might need a few extra supports, so we try to set them up with mentors or volunteers to help them adjust to their new life in the U.S. So those are sort of the main 4 phases. Like I said, it could be 6 months with some, it could be 5 years with other, and we'll be there all along the way if people need to come back and ask us for help. One other thing I wanted to mention is just how the funding mechanism works for resettlement, both refugee resettlement in general and Afghan-specific resettlement. The State Department actually funds about $1,225 per individual that comes with people to our agency ahead of time to be spent on their behalf. So we're paying for security deposit, we're paying for the first couple months of rent, we're paying for electric bills, internet, which is so crucial nowadays to unlocking jobs and English classes, like I mentioned. So that initial grant helps push people forward in those initial months. It takes a lot more resources than that. So we're very fortunate to have the Office of Refugee Resettlement also step in with some supplemental funding for employment. Some of that offered through the state of Indiana in partnership with FSSA, as well as incredible generosity from Hoosiers across the state who have really stepped up in this moment to donate funds, to donate diapers, to donate couches, winter coats and hats, all the things that these new families are going to need as they adjust to, well, now winter in Indiana, right? So I'm incredibly thankful of the work being done here, incredibly thankful for the governor's support for our work and our ongoing mission to resettle refugees. So thank you all.
Next, we'll hear from Aheed Sharifi, who will resettle here in the state of Indiana.
Good afternoon. I'm Aheed Sharifi. I'm very happy that you give me this chance. I'm talking about myself and talk about my story. Actually, I came to the United States in the 5th of September, and my journey was long and scary. When I left Afghanistan, I separated from my mother and my brother and sister, and in Germany, I got separated from my sister and her family. My mother and brother didn't get it out of Afghanistan because they got separated at the gate the day the bomb blast there. I was terrified where they were until I hear from them 3 days. Sorry. After I arrived in Washington, D.C., it was the first time that I could first find a Wi-Fi and have a contact with them. My husband was presidential employee in Afghanistan, and also he left the country in 2020. I'm very excited that I start my new life in Indiana, and where I hope that to continue my study in Bloomington University. I have a message to the people of the United States, and I want to say that people of the United States has a heart of the gold. Thank you so much for everything. I'm sure that in different and in difficult conditions, they never leave Afghan people alone. I'm sure that since I came to the Atterbury camp, I learned many things from them, especially from the Army, especially from the Department of State. You know that they behave very patiently and justly with Afghan people. And we learn many things of them. Thank you so much for everything. And I hope that I can make the world around me a better place for others like them. Thank you so much.
As you can see, it's a deeply personal and emotional story, not only for Aheed, Tashakor Manana, for sharing that, but also for all of the others here that are supporting the mission. And I think you'll hear from that from the ambassador. So it's my pleasure to introduce Ambassador Christine Elder from the Department of State.
Thank you, and thank you for your inspiring story. I want to just pick up for a second on your reference to Hearts of Gold here in Indiana and across the United States. A number of my colleagues in Washington have been working on this issue since the middle of August when Kabul fell, and a number of my colleagues have gone to all of the safe havens to support the operations and to see what's going on. And increasingly, I'm hearing from those who've seen other bases, other safe havens, and especially those who've come here, are referring to Indiana as the gold standard. So I think it's the gold standard and Hearts of Gold. And it's that combination that gives us hope and gives us inspiration. So thank you for that, and thank you, Governor, for being here today. And it's an honor to be here and to have a chance to highlight that work and that engagement across the state and at the community level. That's, this is the first step and a hard step to get out, but this is the hard work, is to get integrated into the communities and to march forward on your new journey. So what's happening here first at Camp Atterbury and in increasing numbers across the state as those numbers grow due to the hard work of Exodus and the other resettlement agencies who are here today, represented here today. It's incredible work, it's unprecedented work, both in scale and in number of what's happening. And you heard about the work of the resettlement agencies, the broad variety of what they've got to do to help people get on their feet here and to start their new journey. And even though in the state of Indiana, they've doubled the commitment of the number of Afghan families that they would host here and integrate, it's still not enough nationwide. The demand is higher than the capacity of resettlement agencies to do this. And we have seen with this Heart of Gold in Indiana, I think they filled every warehouse in the state of Indiana with donated items to help on this new path forward when you get resettled. But there is a desire to do more. And we've seen this day in and day out, both from, for instance, veterans who worked side by side with Afghans who they know by name and they know where they are in the United States, which of the safe havens, here and elsewhere. And the State Department was responding to a need that we can augment and support the work of the resettlement agencies with some of these programs, but people need a little bit of structure. To be able to do that in a way. It's very technical work. It's a long list of things that you've got to do to help people to resettle. But there's a program now that the State Department is supporting. The Rockefeller Foundation is also supporting this to give some structure to those who want to come together in small circles, in some cases to support specific individuals. But it's open a group of at least 5 people can get together, and this can be a part of a community, or it can be organizations as well. And I would encourage you to take a look at the website. It's called the Sponsor Circle Program, and it really can give both a training for people, it can give a foundation, it can give support so that you can help them. It largely mirrors the work of the resettlement agencies and therefore expands the capacity to resettle across the country and help meet that need and get more people on their way as soon as is possible. What happens in this then is a group of at least 5 people, and you've got people with different ways that they can support and donate. Some it's with their time, and some it's with other ways, and they've got other areas of expertise. And you can apply as a group, and again, there are people who will help walk through the process, supply templates, explain, give training online, so that you do it in a structured and effective and efficient way. So, these first 3 months are critical, and really there are very specific things that need to happen during that time. But there's a large time commitment. This is not a light commitment. It's a commitment of time, it's a commitment of money, and it's a commitment of your heart to do it, but it's a very rewarding experience. So please take a look at sponsorcircles.org. In addition to that, I would say if you want to engage and participate, look for the resettlement agency closest to where you live and reach out to them with your ability to support. And then the third place I would highlight for you is called welcome.us, and it's a way people all over the country can engage and support in the way that fits them really, really best. So again, it's an honor to be here today. Thank you so much. It's a privilege to be a part of this effort, and thank you to the state of Indiana. You're the gold standard.
Thank you, Madam Ambassador. For those of you in attendance from the media, those websites and more information about them were provided in the read-ahead that you received prior to it. Now I'd like to call Mr. Fred Payne, who is the Commissioner of Workforce Development here for the state of Indiana.
Thank you very much. Thank you, Ambassador, and thank you for that heartwarming story. The essence of what we're all hearing here today really boils down to a few things. housing, employment, health, transportation, and schooling for children. But what's really critical in that puzzle is employment. It's jobs and it's meaningful work. Because we know that at the core of our society, at the core of a strong family unit and a strong community, is self-sufficiency and a job and meaningful work. Now, I have the privilege here today to talk about some things that we're doing at the Department of Workforce Development here at Atterbury. First, I want to talk a little bit about our team. Our team has been deployed here, and we have professionals who have been connecting people to jobs and employers. We're embedded in communities all around the state. So what's happening here at Atterbury, quite frankly, is an extension of what's happened throughout Indiana. Now, recently we mobilized a set of workforce professionals down here at Atterbury, and we've provided some services, many of which are tailored to the needs of the people here at Atterbury. So what am I talking about? Let's look at this big picture, right? The big picture here is that we're giving the guest an overview of what it is to work in the United States. Now, the types of jobs and the types of industries and opportunities that exist, that's what we're trying to expose them to. We're even talking about topics such as taxes, cultural expectations in the workplace. We want to make sure that the information and the time that we're spending with our guests will serve them well, regardless of where they are. Now, we're doing a lot of this with our partners from the U.S. Chamber, but I want to give a special thanks right now to the Indiana National Guard. A lot of this is possible because the Indiana National Guard has been on the ground and is providing daily support. So I thank you to the Indiana National Guard. Now, at this particular work readiness center here, we've deployed a team of workforce experts who are on the ground. They're meeting with people individually, and they're meeting with them in groups. And they're talking to them, and they are also assessing the type of work that our guests have previously done, the skills they have, and even the skills they want to develop. Now, we're looking at how their experience might be applied to jobs and industries here in Indiana and beyond. We've developed a curriculum and training specifically for the needs of the guests here. We've translated materials into 2 different languages, Dari and Pashto. Now, we've also included on some of the materials images to make them a little bit more easy to understand. We have interpreters on site to help to aid in conversation and understanding. Now, the folks that we're engaged with here with our guests, it's a diverse group. Their experiences and skills are pretty broad. Our team of workforce professionals have engaged with doctors, an astrophysicist, a chief financial officer, but there are a lot of people who haven't had those types of work experiences, and they need a few more basic needs, some basic assistance. They need help with speaking English and or learning computers and preparing resumes and really preparing for a job interview. A lot of this happens when our folks engage with them on a one-on-one level. We're trying to make sure that we're providing personalized services to each and every guest who wants that experience. Now, for those individuals who've indicated that they have an interest in staying in Indiana, we've taken a step further. Obviously, working with our resettlement agencies, we're connecting them to employers in the communities where they plan to settle. We've engaged with over 150 employers who have told us collectively that there are about 4,000 open job positions in these communities. So how are we doing this connecting? We're doing anything from hosting virtual job fairs and making introductions to training and skilling people up for the specific roles that the employers have available to them. Now, we're really trying to ensure that we're doing every single thing that we can to set the people and the employers up for success. Now, our support doesn't end when a person resettles in a community. We want to make sure that we are providing them with ongoing and continuous support. This is the type of work that our agency does every day. We want to make sure that we're connecting people to jobs and we're connecting employers to people. Now, in closing, coming together to help one another, whether you're born in Indiana, you've lived here all of your life, or whether you've been displaced from work and you find yourself in Indiana now, our responsibility is to you. Our responsibility is to you as a community and as a state. But also, it's our pleasure. You've heard about this gold standard that someone spoke of earlier, but really, the Hoosier hospitality is our pleasure. So thank you very much for allowing me to share information about what our workforce development system is doing here at Atterbury.
Finally, it's my sincere honor and pleasure to introduce the governor of the great state of Indiana, Governor Eric Holcomb. Governor.
Thank you, Colonel O'Donnell. First, probably ought to start out by saying you probably need to own that phrase, Indiana Heart of Gold. And I don't know if it would hurt or help, but feel free to put the governor of the state of Indiana on your application to Indiana University, because they will be much better off with you on their campus. And Cole, thank you for, as I was coming in, there's a heart, this sums it up as well, a heart on the state of Indiana. I think we're all singing from the same sheet of music, and certainly getting this latest update, this latest briefing, you heard what the ambassador and I heard as well. There's so much pride and passion and a reminder of, I think, all of our purpose while we're here, to help one another, to help our neighbors. As far away from where they come from, they're here at home in Indiana and in this country. And so it is an extremely appropriate time to share a lot of things to a lot of folks who have come from all over the state, all over the country, all over the world. I want to start with our Adjutant General, General Lyles, a Salem, Indiana boy done good. And also from those very first phone calls with the Department of Defense, the Department of Homeland Security, getting a lot of questions answered before we all assembled. It's really been General Lyles who has made sure that we've had all the resources that we need to be well conducted, to be well organized, to be able to accommodate, to put all these pieces of this very complex puzzle together so it can help develop that picture and actually develop lives. Thank you, General Lyles. Thank you, Aaron, who is also a Salem, Indiana boy done good, which means they're probably related and they didn't know it. This is how small the world is. These stories of how people come in to help, to come into an unprecedented endeavor from different walks of life. And to see these two work together on a very daily basis, and to have Colonel Grundman of Vincennes, Indiana boy done good, come together and make sure that we're not only delivering what we have told our federal partners we can, but trying to, I'm glad you mentioned the gold standard, but trying to be the gold standard. I mean, I hope it wasn't lost on anyone when Colonel Grundman shared that of all the donations throughout the nation coming into 8 safe havens, I don't care how you count it, 75% is a big statement of who we are, making sure that what is needed at this camp, at this safe haven, diapers, shoes, clothing, toys to bring joy, is there in abundance. That doesn't just happen. That is coming from inside. That is coming from who we are. When I think about all the different state agencies, seeing Pam way in the background here, our state's epidemiologist, and FSSA, and Steve Cox with our state Homeland Security, all these pieces of the puzzle, making sure we're synchronized on carrying out smartly the plan of the day, every day, month after month after month after month, making sure folks not just have hope, but they have, as Ambassador Elder said, this blueprint or this pathway on their journey to peace and security and happiness. And so it is really for me to be able to be with the team that was assembled earlier and just hear of the success stories on a day in, day out basis, to hear that there are, as Commissioner Payne said, jobs waiting, eager aspirants to fill those jobs in these various communities throughout not just the country, but Hammond and Muncie and Indianapolis and Fort Wayne, and Bloomington, all over our state. This is a good thing. This is a win-win scenario from whatever perspective you have. And I just, Cole, you representing the other resettlement agencies, you are doing the Lord's work. And you've been doing it for a long time, but I think you were made for this moment. We have never on Hoosier soil carried out something of this size and scope. And because the rubber meets the road where you're at, no matter what community in the state of Indiana, this just fuels our confidence. Not in an arrogant way, but in a productive way for Aheed and her family and 7,200 of our guests who will become residents. The smiles that we saw on that tour, the hope from where they came, off balance, off a plane, missing luggage, dealing with health issues, the constant chaos, the spectrum from chaos to calm. That 7,200 of our now neighbors, that journey in and of itself, that peace is priceless. And it fuels us to want to do more. And so, Ambassador, when we're reaching out to the state, to the Department of State, and asking for more resources and to Homeland Security, knowing that we're going to have the resources to succeed, it just doesn't get any better than that. And so I wrote down a lot of notes in this briefing. I don't think I stopped. But let me just, I mentioned to Colonel Grundman, we're not related, but I too have family from Vincennes. At least I don't think we are. I don't know how deep in the soil those roots get tangled, but I mentioned that in Vincennes, Indiana, there's one of the biggest monuments outside of Washington, D.C., and on it, carved in stone, is from another famous colonel that traipsed around these parts, Colonel George Rogers Clark. And at a moment in our history where folks were carving out their futures. And on that monument is carved, great things can be affected by men and women well conducted. And being well conducted is on full display right here. So with that, I wish everyone, no matter where you have come from, how long you are staying, a very happy Thanksgiving. We have so much to be thankful for, including 7,200 guests who will now become our American neighbors. With that, I'm happy to answer any questions. Don't care how tight my schedule is. Yes, sir.
On that last point, 48 hours from now, Hoosiers across the state will gather around the table with friends, family, and strangers for Thanksgiving. So if you can put that in context, the irony of folks coming from another country, not knowing what's going to be in their lives when they land here to start a new life. And if you put in context what it means not only for the folks of Indiana, but for our guests on this happening in the Thanksgiving season.
Well, first and foremost, we are very lucky. If you're from this country, we are very fortunate to have been born here. We're thankful that our ancestors made their way here, as mine did in the 1800s, from far away. I'm the beneficiary of their courage. And so first I would start there, that we have so much to be thankful for where we started out in life. I would also ask for people around the table, as will I, to pray for, if so inclined, to pray for not just our new neighbors, but for their families who are still far away, separated, that are waking up every day hoping to be reunited. And we can do more. We're proving that here. This is proof positive that when people from all walks come together, what good can come out of it. And I would just ask that folks keep in mind not just who are with us now, but their families as well. And then finally, whether it's Homeland Security, FSSA, the Indiana National Guard, the Department of Health, keep them in your thoughts too. They've been going, we talked about September 1st, being in receipt of the call and standing up and mobilizing and getting the thumbs up go time. They've been going nonstop, but these folks have been going nonstop 24/7, 7 days a week for going on 2 years now, with multiple balls in the air that have life implications. And they keep coming back to work just to try to help someone else out. And so I'd ask you to keep them in their thoughts and prayers too.
Hope Indiana's legacy is for your role here in this operation.
Well, I hope that we're an example. Gold standard's great, by the way. Let's not screw that up. I hope that I hope we're an example of a place that comes together in times of great need and shared responsibility. And this is a joint effort, make no mistake about it. Local, state, federal, I should have included the local community. The number of examples that I've received, second or third hand, about people who have come up to folks in uniform and said, no, I'm going to buy your lunch, or I'm going to buy your coffee, or thank you for what you're doing down there. The number of folks that say, where do I give? We'll hire everyone that wants a job. Some of these organizations, you heard from Cole, have just said, I'll hire 50, I'll hire 100, I'll hire how many you got? We'll figure it out. Don't speak English? We'll figure that out. I hope we're an example of a state that figures it out. Well, you get two different answers from two different people. I'll speak for myself. So I'm going to defer to the Department of Defense and Homeland Security and the Department of State, and we're here to assist them. And so they'll have a strong presence and thought on this, but I anticipate this winding down by the end of this year. But I'm going to be here as long as the need is here. And I hope that we've demonstrated that. And that we can not only just accommodate, but we can raise everybody's game as an example. So there's a timeline that winds down by the end of the year, but as I mentioned, there's more still trying to find their way to freedom. Thank you.
All right, ladies and gentlemen, from here, we'll take questions for the other group. You can do one of two ways. Just raise your hand. I'll call to you. For those that don't know you, because obviously they're not not everyone is from the area. If you could just state your name, affiliate that you're with. Either you can just throw out your question and we'll try to direct it to the appropriate, or if you have a specific question for one of the individuals you heard from, just identify who you're directing the question at. I'm gonna start right there.
Mitch Levy with Indiana Public Media. I guess we could get Department of Defense's thoughts on that timeline. That would be great.
So timeline is probably most appropriate for Department of Homeland Security since they're the lead federal agency, but I'll defer to Aaron.
Thank you, Colonel O'Donnell, and thank you for the question. And it's one that we were, I think, asked probably on September 1st, and we continue to adjust. And I would say that the mission really never ends, as you heard Cole say. There are transition points and points in which, we pass the baton. There is a prioritization as far as closing the bases and focusing on resettlement. Fort Lee recently, closed, so now 7 safe havens. We are targeted for the end of this calendar year. However, understanding that it is also during a holiday season, I would anticipate it being first of the year. But that is our timeline and our objective here at Camp Atterbury.
So we're leading into the Thanksgiving holiday. We've been resettling people kind of on a family basis. I saw recently Exodus is going to be working with a larger group of people. How are you guys going to be able to do that? And is there a factor in of introducing these guests to Thanksgiving, to introducing them to this holiday, all while rolling out this resettlement effort?
Yeah, thanks for your question. The numbers indeed have been increasing, people coming off bases, not just Atterbury, but the other 7 as well. In fact, we are receiving about 53 people just this holiday week, which is quite a number in 3 business days, essentially. In terms of the holiday week, we are going to keep them fed and their bellies full. We have cleaned out every halal market we could find in the area. In terms of celebrating the customs of Thanksgiving, we have a number of things we're going to be bombarding them with in terms of employment and school and everything. I don't know if we'll get to Thanksgiving this year, but in my experience, holidays in America do indeed need to be explained, especially if someone arrives, let's say, October 31st. There's a lot of cultural things that we need to make sure our refugee and Afghan guests know about the 30-foot skeleton that their neighbor has up. So, but thank you for that question, and we are doing everything we can to help them feel welcome at this time.
Colonel Don, if you don't mind, I want to jump on that. So I think that's an important topic in which, as a part of cultural awareness training that we do provide here on base, we actually cover Thanksgiving. We also have a turkey chase scheduled on Wednesday and a turkey run also with both our Army and DoD partners along with our guests. So we are beginning to acclimate and share with them our culture. Thanks.
I also saw a few turkeys drawn. I'm going to go there, and then I'll come over to this side of the room.
A question for Fred, if you could walk us through what it's like to talk to our new guests, assess what their skill sets are, and how you plug them in to the workforce at a time when, frankly, I imagine there's a lot of employers that are just crying out for somebody to come in and help fill the position.
Sure. Thanks for that question. So one of the things that we're trying to make sure that we're doing is getting a proper assessment of each individual